And breaking overnight, former President Trump has filed a $100 million lawsuit against his own niece and 3 New York Times reporters. He says his niece, Mary Trump, conspired with the Times to get his tax returns for a Pulitzer Prize-winning story about his apparent losses and tax avoidance. The suit alleges the Times pushed Mary to smuggle records out of her attorney's office. Mary Trump admitted she released his taxes to the Times in a book she wrote about her uncle, and she responded to the lawsuit in a statement saying this: "It's desperation. The walls are closing in, and he's throwing anything against the wall that he thinks will stick." One of the Times reporters who is being sued, Suzanne Craig, also responding on Twitter, saying, quote, "I knocked on Mary Trump's door. She opened it." I think they call that journalism. Let's dig deeper and bring in MSNBC legal analyst Danny Savalas. Danny, this is what Donald Trump does. Thousands and thousands of lawsuits, a massive number, 100 million. I feel like I'm watching a movie. Does he have any sort of leg to stand on here, or is this just a way for him to get himself in the headlines? Because in the world of Trump, all press is good press, and here we are talking about him.
There may be a case against Mary Trump, and that's assuming that everything in the complaint is true, which is not necessarily known right now. And that would be that there was some prior litigation, the parties entered into an agreement because they got all this discovery and sensitive documents, and Mary Trump allegedly signed an agreement to never disclose these documents. And if she did, potentially, she could be in breach, as the complaint alleges. But as against the media defendants, the New York Times, Suzanne Craig, David Barstow, and Russell, you see all of them right there on screen, the case is much weaker. And that's because when reporters engage in news gathering, in journalism, and they receive documents over the transom, as it were, that is probably protected First Amendment activity, even if they know that that person, their source, their confidential source, may be violating some agreement. After all, that's happened a million times in journalism.
Danny, let's say he's got a case against Mary Trump. Where does the number 100 million come from? Austin Powers?
I was just about to say 100 million in the Austin Powers way. I don't know where you get that money from, but the challenge is with modern pleading is that there's every incentive to ask for the sun, the moon, and the stars, and then come off your ridiculous number as the case progresses. And sadly, for that reason, pleadings often feature a number that is plucked out of the ether, that is outrageously high, which is perfect for someone like Donald Trump to ask for that amount of money and then later on settle for really whatever you want to, because you're not bound by that initial number in your pleadings, at least in most jurisdictions.